Hello, and welcome to Northwest Magic. My name is Howie,
I'm Levi.
and we're Northwest Magic. Like I said, today, everybody, we're going to upgrade your brand new Modern Horizons 3 Precon list for Disa, the Restless. Levi, you want to read it for me?
Yes, Disa the Restless is 2 and a Jund for a legendary creature human scout whenever a Lurgoyf permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield. Put it onto the battlefield. And then whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a Tarmogoyf token. So I just want to
Yeah,
preface this. When we went with the upgrades, we decided to definitely lean more into the Tarmogoyfs and some Lurgoyfs type synergies. So you're going to be getting some good value out of maybe discarding some Lurgoyfs and then putting them right back onto the battlefield, and then getting those combat damage triggers that you really, really want to get more Tarmogoyf tokens. So you're going crazy, you're swinging out, and you're getting wide. Let's get into it. What are we adding, Howie?
alright, so our first two ads
Of
are
10.
out of 10. We're doing 10. Should have said that. Our first
Yeah.
two ads are going to be, like you said, to add the Lurgoyf kind of stuff. So we're going to add Tarmogoyf himself. He does what the token does. He is the
He
token.
is the token himself.
Yes. And then we're going to add the brand new card from the main set, Nethergoyf, which is like Tarmogoyf, but little. His power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, not every graveyard. And its toughness is equal to that number plus 1. And then it has a weird escape cost. 2 and a black, exile any number of other cards from your graveyard with 4 or more card types among them. Maybe you get to do that later, maybe not, but point is he's a low to the ground Lurgoyf. And that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, he just does everything that the deck wants to do. You're not really gonna stray away from that, and yeah, he'll just fit in like a glove. With those being said, I'm talking about. I had alluded to this when we're trying to discard Lurgoyfs and then just put them right back in the battlefield. So basically, the same card has the same exact text, big score, and unexpected windfall. As an additional cost to cast these spells, you discard a card, and then you draw two and create two treasure tokens. So, hey, if you have freaking Nethergoyf in your hand or Termorgoyf in your hand, and you cast one of these, it just goes straight onto the battlefield after that. That's awesome. And then you draw two, and then you get two treasures. I mean, it's just fitting into the entire game plan itself. It's a no-brainer in this type of deck.
I just realized her first line, Disa's first line, makes your Tarmogoyfs, your Lurgoyfs, basically uncounterable. So they get countered, they just go to the battlefield.
Yeah, they just straight up go, which is
That's
pretty darn cool. I love that.
that's pretty cool. Those two instances you just said, big score and unexpected windfall, though, they smooth it out, and like you said, you might be able to cheat out one of the few Lurgoyfs in the deck, because even though we are Lurgoyf tribal, there is slim pickings in the creature type.
That's an and to also add to that, this deck did struggle a little bit with the card draw itself. There was only eight or nine,
I think there's
seven, six.
seven
There was
in the
only
deck.
7 card draws, so we wanted to add a little more to that.
Yeah, we're adding spoilers, like one more, two more, kinda.
Hmm.
So anyway, to go with the theme of adding cards in twos, we're gonna add Grim Hireling and Professional Facebreaker. Grim Hireling, whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you make 2 treasures. Professional Facebreaker makes 1 treasure for 1 less mana, but also Professional Facebreaker can also help with can also card advantage by sacrificing a treasure to exile the top card of your library, and you can play it this turn. Grim Hireling also doubles as removal to sacrifice X treasures. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. They have that same trigger that Disa has on one or more creatures dealing combat damage to a player, which is something we're already wanting to do. So let's just get some benefit out of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the Professional Facebreaker and Grim Hireling are just going to help you get more mana for doing what you're already doing in the deck. Works out really well. To help with that strategy of getting lots of combat damage triggers, we decided to throw in a newer card from Thunder Junction, Great Train Heist. It's
Yeah,
one of
it
those
was a
spree
sweet card.
cards. Very sweet. It's got just an average cost of red, or a normal cost of red, whatever you want to call it. And then it has spree, so you're going to be adding any of these. 2 in a red, you untap all creatures you control. If it's your combat phase, there's an additional combat phase after this one. Freaking amazing. And
Yeah,
then
you can
2
double the
creatures you
Lord
control
Glyphs you
get.
make with that.
You can double your Lurgoyf tokens, and then for 2 creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain first strike until end of turn. That'll just help them survive. And then plus red, choose target opponent whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, create a tap treasure token. So yeah, if you have all the mana to put into all the sprees, then that you're just getting so much value out of that. With like you're doubling your Lurgoyf tokens, or
For the
sorry,
turn.
you're for the turn, your Tarmogoyf tokens, excuse me. And you're making them stronger, and you could even possibly make it so that you're getting treasures for doing it. So it fits very well with the game plan of this deck.
So we're going to add one of my cards that I like to add to a lot of my decks. Shared Animosity, because we are making a lot of Lurgoyf stuff. 2 in a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. So that's pretty self-explanatory, but ideally you get 3 to like 9 for each Lurgoyf that you got out there per Lurgoyf. So could be like a build your own Craterhoof without the trample.
Oh yeah, and honestly, at 3 mana, this is a really good value for what you're getting. Yeah, at the value that it makes and everything, it's great. Another one, Black Market Connections for 2 and a black. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose 1 or more, create a treasure token, you lose 1 life, draw a card, you lose 2 life, and create a 3/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with changeling, you lose 3 life. So, I mean, this just does it all. It gives you mana, it helps with card draw. And if you really, really care, it'll give you another creature, which would technically be a Tarmogoyf. if
A
you really wanted
Lurgoyf.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would also be a Lurgoyf. It would be both.
I don't think it would be a Tarmogoyf. It would just be a
Or,
Lurgoyf.
I'm sorry, it would be a Lurgoyf. I'm sorry. It would, yeah.
It's okay.
I get them confused.
The last card
they look
adding.
so similar.
The last card we're adding is Parallel Lives, because we're making tokens. So let's double down on that game plan. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. 3 and a green for an enchantment. Great card. You can play it before Disa. You can play it right before you attack with Disa, or whatever creatures to surprise your opponents. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're adding 6 cards that make treasure tokens. So this works with those too. There's no shortage of tokens in the deck, honestly. So I think that those 10 ads might be the best 10 ads of all time in Disa the Restless history, to make this Precon quite a bit smoother than it was. But with adding 10 cards, we have to remove 10 cards.
And this one was
honestly
honestly pretty easy.
Hold on, Levi. I want to shout out our patron, King Dom.
And producer.
He's the real one. Please check out our Patreon if you want us to make better content for you. Check out our Elder Dragon Hot Wings episode. We're going to come out with more of those soon. And the more patrons we have, the better gear we can have to produce better content for you guys. We can buy hot sauce.
Yes, we'd love to just continue that kind of style where we eat really hot wings and try to play games while we do it. So
like, comment, subscribe, and here are the 10 cuts that are like way too much mana or whatever.
Yeah, typically that's what we really went for. With that being said, I think Command Zone cut this one too, which totally makes sense. Archon of Cruelty, it's just a little too much. It's 8 total mana for a flying Archon. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life. You draw a card and gain 3 life. It's a great creature, don't get me wrong, but there's not a whole lot of, like, there's no reanimator effects that bring it straight from the graveyard to the battlefield, which is really the only way I'd want to play this is by cheating it in some way.
Yeah,
So
reanimate, blink, or make more tokens of it somehow to take advantage of its abilities. But it is way too much mana. We need to bring the curve down.
Yep.
Speaking of bringing the curve down, we're cutting Garruk, Apex Predator. He's 7 mana for a freaking planeswalker. He can destroy a planeswalker, make a token, destroy a creature. I blew right through that. Destroy another target planeswalker. Nobody has ever activated that in the history of Magic. And then, like, whatever, you can get an emblem for -8, but we're not. It's just too much for what it does.
Yeah, he just costs too much. Like, that's gonna be the main focus of all of these almost. With that, like Broodmate Tyrant is another one. He at least has Encore, which is cool, but he's 4 and a Jund. When he enters the battlefield, you create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying, but I feel like the only reason you'd really cast him is to use his Encore ability to make a 30 flying for the turn. Power in the air, which... Okay, I get it. You know, if we had a Parallel Lives out, maybe this would actually be kind of worth it. But
45 power.
It'd be a lot. It'd be a lot going on. But nah, we just can't really afford that.
This is probably the cut that you should think about keeping the most out of all of these. All the other ones are like for sure, like cut them, get rid of them. They're not good. But like this one, there's an argument for it.
Yeah, he's a Jund card. He is a Jund card. I look at him and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you know what else is a Jund card? Is Tora the Incinerator. It's 3 and a Jund. Demon Dragon, that's a cool type line. Flying at the beginning of your incept, sacrifice a creature. When you do, he deals damage equal like creature's power to any target, and you create 3 treasure tokens. He's a really cool card. We don't want to be sacrificing our stuff, believe it or not. We want more creatures on board so that we can do more combat damage to get more Lurgoyfs.
I was talking about this with you earlier. We don't have a lot of sacrifice fodder in general, and a lot of our cuts are taking those out. Like anything that does create sack fodder, so you're just going to be wasting your time a little bit if you're running her. Tora, great card, but not here. With that being said, these kind of fill the same role, so I'm going to put them both in. Aone, Thousand-Eyed, and Siege Gang Lieutenant. Aone comes in. She's 2 black, green. Ugh, rough casting cost, in my opinion.
Really rough.
When she enters, you make a 1/1 black and green insect creature token for each creature card in your graveyard. You know, that's fine. And then for black and green, you sacrifice another creature to gain 1 life and draw a card, but realistically you'd be paying her casting costs plus that if you want to draw 1 card and gain 8
and sacrifice a creature.
And sacrifice a creature to gain 1 life and draw a card. She's more of an actual commander slot rather than a good 99 slot for this. Siege Gang Lieutenant is the exact kind of same deal, where you're making some sack fodder by making some red goblins. So he's 3 and a red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Those tokens gain haste until end of turn. And then for 2, you can sacrifice a goblin, and he deals 1 damage to any target. I do like him quite a bit. This is like a
new auto include for like goblin decks. He's sweet, but we're not a goblin deck by any means. This might be the only goblin in there.
Yeah, he literally
not
might
anymore.
Just be. Yeah, not anymore. Get him out of here. But yeah, as you can see, we just went away from just anything that has like sack value, because there's, first of all, not a whole lot of it in here already. So let's just take that little piece and take it out so that the deck becomes more focused in general.
I hate planeswalkers. Most of them aren't good, so we're also cutting Liliana, Death's Majesty. There is also an argument for her, like, she makes a token, she self-mills, and then can return a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield. That's actually what we were just talking about, the deck not having. It really doesn't have it anymore, but For 5 mana, like, we didn't add it, but like just add Reanimate if you're really looking for that effect for like way cheaper. Or Animate Dead, or Necromancy. There's a lot more cheaper options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
like
fine in a zombie deck.
not a zombie deck. She does do the reanimator thing, and she does make the sack fodder. But I just talked about this. We just are taking all that out. And with that, guys, we just cut 3 lands because the deck has like 39 lands right out of the box, which I kind of understand why they did that because there's so many freaking giant creatures and giant things. Let's just take that down a notch.
Yeah.
We like to take out the temples, typically the ones that do the either make a these ones are the scry ones. They come in tapped. Scrying is great, nothing wrong with scrying, but let's take out things that are tapped. So, Temple of Abandon, Temple of Milady, and Temple of Malice.
Yeah.
They all do the exact same thing.
The ones I wanted to cut the most because there are other tapped lands, but almost all the other tapped lands in the deck can at least like put themselves in the graveyard through cycling or some other means. So like we can fill the land slot in the graveyard. If that box isn't checked yet for our Lurgoyfs.
Yeah, so those are our 10 adds and 10 cuts. Tell us what you think down in the comments below. Let us know maybe if we missed something that's just a no-brainer that we should have actually put in. Let us know why Siege Gang Lieutenant actually is a goated card in this deck and why we should keep it. Regardless, like, comment, and subscribe.
Check out our Patreon.
Check out our Patreon.
This was fun. Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.